You definitely made the right choice to be here. Imagine this, because we wanted to make a very brief introduction, but imagine this, that network security is your superhero team. SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, is like the Avengers, combining the powers of network security and WAN capabilities all at one and on one mighty force. It unites SD-WAN, secure web gateways, CASB, and zero trust network access to fend the cyber villains. With SASE, your security is always on duty, 24/7, and no matter where your users reside. I'm Sofie Huylebroeck. Maybe you can click on the clicker, because on the next slide we have our... Yes, perfect. I'm Sofie Huylebroeck, sales lead of the cybersecurity practice at Proximus NXT IT, and allow me to introduce Quaeyhaegens, a true superhero in cybersecurity with over 20 years of experience. And Andy works at Netskope, a company recognized as leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, both for SASE and SSE. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Sofie. Glad to be here.
Yes. So Proximus NXT selected Netskope as a strategic partner already. Our visions align perfectly in how to support hybrid working while ensuring secure and seamless access to applications and data, while we do not take any compromises on that part. So let's start. SASE, it is really the architecture of the future. So it sounds like everybody should do this. It's the next architecture.
Very, very true, Sofie. Very true. We all need to think about our next architecture, right? The think next architecture. So first, let me clarify a couple of abbreviations and acronyms that we're going to use throughout the presentation. First of all, it's going to be SASE, the Secure Access Service Edge, right? It's the reimagined perimeter. And SASE is a framework. Framework consisting out of two big pillars. One is SD-WAN, one is SSE. SD-WAN is the connectivity part, SSE is the security part. Both combined into one, folded back into one as an entire security stack, as a service, providing a lot of things we're going to find out today. The reason why we need to think about this new architecture is not because we're trying to solve new problems, right? The problem we're trying to solve is still the same problem as 20, 30, 40 years ago. And it's simple. It's about a user trying to access an application. It's as simple as that. The thing is, how we do that is changing over the years. There's things we need to ask ourselves, things we need to demand from the transaction that is completing, and risk we need to evaluate before we can allow it to happen. Some of the questions that might pop up is, who is the user? What is he trying to do? What type of device is he using? What is the risk with the action that he's performing? What is the activity he's performing? Which application is he reaching? What is the nature of his transaction? Is it malicious? Is it sensitive? All different types of questions. These questions, we've been answering them throughout the years, right? It's the same problem we're trying to solve. However, there's a new dynamic. And the new dynamic exists in the part where this user, which used to be inside your office, used to be on your network, locally accessing application that lived in the same network, maybe secured by a firewall, but it's in that same perimeter. This has shifted, right? There's a new demand for that user to reach his application. For example, if that same user that reached Outlook, for example, his Exchange server, he's now going to use an email client on his mobile phone while doing that at 7 p.m. at home, connecting on a 5G network, like we all do, right, Sofie? 7 p.m. checking mails. But we're not in control of that transaction anymore, right? The demand for securing that is the demand that has shifted for that transaction to be secured. If you look at the whole picture, what we're trying to solve, simply put, we have unmanaged devices, we have managed devices, we have IoT, we have networks, we have HQs, we have branch offices, and they're connecting to applications everywhere. How do you secure those paths? You can see all those paths on the screen, right? It's all about dynamics, a user towards an application, a user going back to the data center, user going to the data center, then accessing an IaaS application. Those dynamics need to be solved efficiently, just like a security stack should, in a simple way. Having visibility in the transaction. As you do that, you need to enforce something which is controlling that transaction over that entire network you need to demand 3 things from that to be able to be efficient. The first thing, Sofie, is going to be...
Security, for sure.
What's the second thing you think?
Performance.
And that leaves us with, at the end...
The most important one, user experience.
A phenomenal user experience. And I just lost my earplug.
Yes. Under control? No chaos like on the picture?
It's almost it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Getting there. Done.
Yes.
So, user experience, predominant in this transaction. This is the hybrid work environment that we feared, that we actually endure today. Right? This is the hybrid situation. A user can be anywhere, his device can be anything, his application can exist everywhere, but we need to provide the same security stack as before.
Yes, and it's a bit chaotic as we can see on the picture, and the digital world is ever evolving. So companies need to keep up with that and do a different security approach for this. So they are a bit overwhelmed. So Andy, what should they do today? It's ever changing, so where do we start?
Well, it's a fair question. It's a fair question. It starts very simply with visibility. That's step 1. But if you think about the architecture we're proposing here, it's not like a big, it's an evolution, right? And it's an evolution that we see happening, that we saw happening since back in the summer of '69, where I don't know if anyone knows ARPANET. ARPANET, the predecessor of internet, and I'm going to lose this here because it's just going to fall off all the time.
Just leave it.
ARPANET is the predecessor of internet, and it was born in the summer of '69. Right? And what we got was not like Brian Adams getting his first real 6-string in the summer of '69. No, we got a packet switch network allowing computers to communicate with each other. How does that work in a timeline? It's evolution. It's all about evolution. So we start out, and I'm going to move a little so you can see the Neanderthal at the left. It started out as mainframe communications, right? How does a terminal communicate with a mainframe? How do you secure that transaction? The only security point that you have is a router, and the router is going to control the network. And the network has no segmentation. It's everyone talks to everything at the same time. Moving on, the next layer is going to be local networks.
Yeah, correct.
Switches and bridges. Switches and bridges, they provide segmentation. Switches and bridges are a component for security that can isolate parts of a network on another to communicate with another part of the network.
Firewalls.
Then we have the rise of the firewalls. And the rise of the firewalls introduces something called actually a router which has packet filtering capabilities. And this is the next thing we're going to add to segment that access for a device on a user on a device to access a application. Remote access also came in. At the end, we now have VLANs and modern segmentation. And if you think about a VLAN, a virtual local area network, this is a type of segment that actually uses a shared medium on the physical layer and introduces logical networks on top. You can essentially say the network layer is becoming abstract. That's the step 1. Physical layer now has become abstract because you're running 2 virtual things on the same. And we keep on adding new capabilities, right? A web gateway for securing web access, and a cloud broker or a cloud access security broker for securing cloud application access. Eventually, and I'm going to lose the other ear as well, I don't care. Eventually leading to to what we have today is the desire for zero trust and micro-segmentation. As you can see, the stack that was involved, it's keeping on adding new functionalities, new capabilities on that old legacy architecture. And this is where you need to think about building a building, right? You build, you build, you build, you build. The underlying foundation is going to crumble under the weight of the security controls you're bolting on to the same architecture. That's where SASE or SASE comes in, which is a transformation of that existing legacy architecture into a ever available, always on security control point as a service in cloud.
So that's a new architecture, right? Ah yeah, you
I
do
don't
not
hear
hear
you.
me. Okay, but Andy, wait a second.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
I'll do it like this.
Yeah, okay. Wait a second, because in my opinion, if I see this, I think of a total rebuild. It's really, it's. I see the audience maybe thinking already, oh, what about my budget for next year? I do not want to implement this because it will be tabula rasa. That's not the idea, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I heard you, so
Perfect.
I'm in control again, I think, a little bit. Doing a SASE or an SSE transformation is not about having a big bang to exchange that entire security stack. It's designed to be modular, right? It's designed to take away certain controls, move them to elsewhere, and then apply those same controls and build them up on again. Like, if you picture a journey into the SSE world, the first step in any security landscape or in any security approach is going to be getting visibility. Visibility is step one. Understanding the risk of what a user is doing within an application, what a device is doing, accessing an application, which application it is that he's consuming. So step one is going to be understanding the risk. And this is where you evolve from a data-centric world, where you know the risk within your data center, to now, where's the user, where's the application, what's the risk involved for that user anywhere, accessing the application everywhere. Step one. Step two can be a legacy VPN architecture, or legacy VPN technology transformation, which we now call Zero Trust Network Access. If you have a pending thing, like, oh, I have old products that are vulnerable and there's an attack surface that is exposing my technology to the internet, I'm afraid of the bad use, that's where Zero Trust Network Access comes in. It replaces the vulnerabilities of the VPN technology that is there today. If you move on, what could be a next step? For example, addressing new controls into how you access those applications. And this is where the next generation of secure web gateways come in. It's having the capability to understand cloud applications and the activities within cloud applications, so you can provide the right controls to secure that access once again. Once you see what you're doing in cloud, maybe it's time to start investigating what the content is of what you are doing in that cloud. Is it sensitive information? For example, if we open up a Google Drive, or let's use Office 365 for example. If we open up our corporate O365 environment, the OneDrive, if I upload sensitive data there, that's within the corporate ownership, within the right data ownership perimeter. If I upload that same document into my personal or a partner or the supplier's O365 or OneDrive, what's going to happen then? That's where data loss happens, because the ownership of that payload is now within the owner of that instance within the SaaS environment of that partner. Ownership is gone. So controls around the data perimeter. And then eventually, and this is not like a year program, it could be, but then you could say at the 5th year, you're about ready to get to a total cost reduction, making sure that you shift what you have as a legacy security stack on-premise, moving that to a security stack as a service, always available, hyper-elastic, always on.
Okay. So Andy, let me just make it short and sweet. Yeah, you can hear me now. So first of all, it's modular. It's affordable for all.
Yes.
And there is no compromise on the user experience. That's what I have understood of
Correct.
all of your information. Okay, so let me take the next question then, and that's the one that most likely everybody saw last week. There was a press release, yes, of Microsoft.
Yes.
Yes, the partnership that you and Microsoft have together.
Yeah.
I saw it. It interests me very much because of the fact that we have now 2 strong strategic partners from Proximus NXT IT. But maybe you can explain to the audience what's meant with that partnership. What is inside?
It's a very good question. Very good. Thank you for that question, Sofie. It's all about the capabilities we have and we can offer. Right? So the thing is, everyone is trying to move into this security services edge, into this SASE environment. Everyone is going there. Also, Microsoft, as a strategic partner of ours today, was moving there. Now, what we've been doing for the past 12 years, because Netskope exists for 12 years already, we've been helping Microsoft secure their customers' assets in their environment. And Microsoft actually was looking for a solution to help them build something like a security services edge architecture. And at that point, they actually hit the market, who can we partner with? what can the partners offer to make our product better, to make our product more convenient for our customers. And this is where they started to do a due diligence on which partner to select, and guess what? We came out on top. So we can actually say we were handpicked by Microsoft. I think that's the best compliment anyone can get.
And we handpicked you as well.
Uh,
Correct, huh?
Correct.
So we had already different vendors in our portfolio that secured that solution. We had already different ones. Nevertheless, we took the chance to work together, a strategic partnership with Netskope, because of the differentiators. Can you explain those, please, Andy?
I will, but first I'm going to show them what the ecosystem looks like, because I forgot to click. It's what we do. It's what we do. It's where we have those technology integrations with those third-party vendors. As you can see, Microsoft is there, but it's not only Microsoft. It's not limited to Microsoft. It's the entire ecosystem of providing a holistic security approach to securing a transaction. Now,
can I ask the question, Andy?
You can ask the question again.
Why should a customer consider Netskope?
Well, let's face it, it's because I work there, right? They pay my salary, I do it on stage, I talk to people.
Yes.
Exactly, so that's reason number one why you should go after a service like Netskope, after the Netskope service itself, because you can enjoy me.
That's true.
But it's not the real thing, right? Actually, it's about the elephant in the room. It's about a thing that we developed. And this is our privately owned cloud security network. This is Netskope's new edge. This is ours, bought and paid for.
Andy,
yes.
Wait a second. So the hyperscalers did not fit your needs?
No, they definitely did not.
Okay, please explain.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. So and I'm going to try and tell a story about how the hyperscalers work. If you're a cloud service provider, like Azure, like AWS or Google Cloud, what is your business plan of providing such a service, right? You want to get a user as fast as possible into your environment. That's the problem you're going to solve. You're going to make it as highly compatible with any workload you want to run, because you want to run as many services as you can within your cloud environment. That's a CSP, that's AWS, that's Azure, that's GCP. What we discovered, because we started in AWS just like everyone else did, after 3 years we pulled it out. Why? Because we were not in control. We did not have access to the maintenance. We did not have access to the routing. We did not know which maintenance was going to be applied at which workload at which time. That was their business plan, that was their thing. We just experienced what they did. So we pulled it out, and then we started building it ourselves, making sure that we can deal with three things. First of all, connectivity. It needs to go fast because you're providing a security service for a user everywhere to an application everywhere. So performance on speed, that's key point number one. Having sure that you have the most optimal path between the user and the application, and be able to provide security in between. That's why also we peered directly to Proximus in the Belgian network. So if you're a Proximus customer, Netskope is just one hop away. That's fast. Second thing, it's about the workload itself. If you try to, if you want to do security, you need to have the hardware designed to do security. You don't want something that's highly scalable, highly compatible to run as many workloads as you can. You only want to have purpose-built stuff. Why? Because the faster it goes, the better the user experience. More security controls applied within that transaction without the user enduring something that makes him want to turn it off. And then finally, the last point, and it's about cost, right? Imagine we're running this in Google Cloud, and imagine at the end of the year, Google Cloud saying, well guys, next year, the prices go up 15%, and I'm sorry for your customers. If you don't own the network, that's what possibly could happen. You're not in control of the prices that they're demanding from you. So that's why we built this out of the blue ourselves.
Okay, and that I truly love this insight, because businesses have already such much difficulties to do their business as such, and then if the price of the vendors or for the service provider goes up, that's not what they want. So,
exactly.
Voila. But in short, it's modular, it's affordable, you have your own custom-built hyperscaler.
Yes.
And you have also that partnership with Microsoft, and we handpicked you as well. So
We've been handpicked many times. We like it. We like it.
Voila. So maybe a last thing to question is, what is the best time to consider Netskope?
Good point. I would say yesterday, because any time is a good time. Do note that if you're gonna run this playbook as a transformation playbook, it's often going to go disguised as something else, right? If we never talk to customers to enforce a complete SASE transformation, it's always going to be about, okay, how's your workplace managed today? Are you thinking about modernizing how users access their application? A modern workplace exercise. If you want to modernize your workplace, that's a SASE transformation project. If you have incumbent technology, firewalls, VPNs, and you think, okay, this VPN, it's about had its time. I think it's about time to move to a zero trust network access principle, and at the same time, you want to consolidate some vendors that live within your security infrastructure for quite some time, so some of which, well, let's face it, you maybe don't use, and some of which maybe you don't even want. We consolidate all that. We make it more simple. Also, that is a SASE project, transformation project. And then
we're at the end of our session.
I think there was one more, especially. Well, we do have a report. I think it's on Forrester. We did it this year. We did it this week, last week, where we actually had an analysis done. What is the cost impact strategically after you perform a transformation like this? And to be fair, that report is available publicly. It's on our website, and it can help you out, especially if you're in a business like we all are today, where costs are being held under a magnifying glass. And you need to make sure that you want to accelerate your business and have security be a business enabler instead of a cost point in your organization. I'm just going to click on the next slide.
You have still next slides, huh?
I do. Well, the platform, which is the Zero Trust engine at the core. If you have questions on that, it's going to be a long, healthy conversation at the booth, because it's massively complex. But let's all face it, you don't have to believe what I say here today. I'm trustworthy, I think, but you don't have to believe me. You can also trust independent analysts like Gartner, who put us on the map with a SASE and SSE Magic Quadrant. We're defined as a leader in both, but also something very interesting. With these quadrants, I'll tell you that when you come by at the booth.
Proximus NXT. Think possible.